This screencast is going to discuss the concept of GCF, which is just a shorter way to say greatest common factor. So we're going to start off by talking about two main questions. The first question we just kind of answered. So what does GCF mean? GCF, once again, stands for greatest common factor. And if we break that down, if we think about the word greatest, that would be our largest number, because a factor is a number, a whole number to be more specific. So it's our largest number that two or more numbers have in common. So remember, the word common means that they share those numbers. So greatest common factor would be the largest number that two or more numbers have in common. Our second question that we're going to now focus on is, how do I find GCF? Well, it's very simple. If you know how to find factors, you can find the GCF. Remember, when we're finding factors, we use our nines method, and we've been practicing that. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. Our first example says to find the greatest common factor of 12 and 20. So the first thing we're going to do is list out our numbers 12 and 20, and we're going to do our nines method. So 1 times the whole way down to 9 times. And it would be helpful to do this in both numbers a while so that we can go ahead and fill in our nines method. So once we have our nines method written down, we're going to go ahead and fill out our nines method. So remember, we do 12 divided by and 20 divided by. So we're going to do 12 divided by 1. Well, 12 divided by 1 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So you notice this is where we start to repeat. So we're going to cross that off, draw our horseshoe, and now for right now, we're just going to move over to the number 20. So if you look at 20, we have 20 divided by 1 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 20 divided by 3 cannot be done because the quotient would not be a whole number. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4. So once again, this is where we repeat. So we're going to stop there, draw our horseshoe, and now we're going to make our list of our factors for 12 and 20 in numerical order. My suggestion would be to do one on top of the other, because that's going to make it a little bit easier to compare your lists. So as you can see, I have my list of factors for 12 and 20, and I'm going to go ahead and use my pencil or whatever I'm currently writing with, and I'm going to circle the numbers that I have in common. So I have 1 in common, I have 2 in common, I have 4 in common, and that looks like it's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these 3 numbers, and I'm going to pick the biggest number. Okay, I'm going to pick the biggest factor that they have in common. So in this case, my GCF would be 4. Let's take a look at a second example. So we're going to look at the number 16 and the number 30. What I would like you to do right now is pause the video, fill out your nines method for 16 and 30. Once you have that done, go ahead and press play again. So you'll see I've completed my nines method, so my next step is going to be to list out the factors of 16 and 30 in numerical order, one on top of the other, so that I can compare my list. So go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to go through, and I want to circle the numbers I have in common. So 1, 2, and that looks like it's about it. So in this case, my GCF would be the number 2. Next example says to find the greatest common factor of 14 and 25. So once again, we're going to list out our numbers 14 and 25. I want you to once again pause the video, fill out your nines method for 14 and 25, and then press play again. So go ahead and check your nines method listing, and then we're going to go ahead and move over to making our numerical ordered list for 14 and 25. So I have 1, 2, 7, and 14, and then I have 1, 5, and 25. Something unique about these lists is if we go to look and compare these numbers or factors for each of these numbers or products, we are going to see that our only common factor is the number 1. And that's okay. In some cases, your greatest common factor is going to be 1, because when you go through your list, that's the only number that those two numbers have in common. So in this specific example, our greatest common factor would in fact be the number 1. All right, I would like you to try this example on your own. Remember, you're using your nines method, so get set up, fill out your nines method, make your listing off to the side so you can compare your lists, and then come up with your GCF for 15 and 27. So go ahead and pause the video, fill out everything. When you hit play, I will have the GCF listed on the screen, so make sure you're going through all of the steps this time. So you'll see going through all the steps, step 1, step 2, and then step 3 gets us our final answer, and our GCF would be 3. So just to review a few important things to remember. Number 1, you have to compare 2 or more numbers to find the greatest common factor of 2 or more numbers. And then second thing, you must list out all the factors. So use your nines method to list out all the factors of both numbers in order to find the greatest common factor between those 2 or more numbers.